All right. Well, that's it, Sean. Thanks for joining today, Sean Roach.
What's up?
So, Sean, why don't we get started just by talking about a little bit about your background, how you got started in the window film industry, and so on. You were just telling me you're in New York now, yeah? Is that where you got
Yep.
started?
Yeah. So many people know me on YouTube, and I'm pretty famous on YouTube for the window tinting and everything. But if you don't know my story, I started off in school. I started in a trade school, obviously in high school. And in that trade school was an aftermarket automotive accessory class where they taught you stereos and window tinting, detailing, pretty much everything aftermarket automotive. And in that class, I was in it for 2 years. I consecutively did it, and I signed up for it because I enjoyed it so much, and I enjoyed the window tinting part of that class so much that even when everyone was doing remote starts and detailing, I asked the teacher if I could continue to practice window tinting, and that brought the attention to him to try to get me a referral for a internship. So he got me in contact with a local window tinting business in my area, obviously, and I went to the guy, and it was an internship where he wasn't going to pay me. I was going to work with him for free. And the first day of it, he saw me show up. I showed up with a cardboard box full of whatever tools that I had, and he was impressed by that. Just the fact that I bought anything. I wasn't just some kid trying to learn window tinting without any knowledge of it at all. And that first day, he offered me a job. It was like $200 a week, but it was me making $200 a week getting trained to tint windows, which is pretty awesome. So I was getting paid to learn window tinting, going around pretty much every dealership on Long Island in New York. We went all the way from Queens to basically the Hamptons, if you guys are familiar with the area. And after about a year of working with him and learning all the ins and the outs of, when to pull panels, how to do this, how to do that, pretty much everything I teach on the YouTube channel, like how to tint, he set me up as a subcontractor, and that's how I kind of got into the field of running a business and getting started with it, because I was set up basically for a tax advantage for him, so he didn't have to put me on payroll. I was set up as a 1099 contractor, which would force me to create an entity, which was just a DBA at the time. And I would go. He would tell me in the morning, like, you got to go to Mercedes and Huntington and Toyota and all these other dealerships and give me all these jobs. And I would go there with the work orders and do the jobs, all that stuff. And we also had a retail location where we did window tint out of too. So he had a retail location and he had a wholesale accounts. And after about 2.5 years of working for him, I every day after work I would come home to my parents' house. I lived with my parents. I was 18 years old, and I would come home and I would have cars ready in my parents' driveway outside to tint. So I would come home from work, but at the same time, I was building a reputation in my hometown, practicing in my parents' driveway. And the funny thing is, as I was driving home, if it was like too windy outside, I would have to call the people and be like, "Listen, like I'm not gonna be able to do it today because it's too windy." And that's how I got started in it. And the way that I excelled and actually took it from nothing and made it something is, you know, the most fearful thing when you're starting off in any business is taking the next step. So, you're working for somebody, and then you think of like how you can grow, and how you can grow, but you're just scared to take that step. And my step in growing was getting it my own physical location where I could work at it, like a shop. So my cousin actually at the time was just building a commercial building, kind of like this one here, not as large, but it was like an 800 square foot unit that was as tall as this, like 24 feet high. And I asked him, I was like, "How much would you charge me to rent this unit in your building?" And it was like 1,200 a month. And I was 19, 20 at the time. I was like, "Holy crap! Like, I'm not going to be able to afford that. Like, I got to do this many cars." And believe it or not, I bit the bullet. I did it. I crossed my fingers every single day. And as I was building my reputation in my parents' driveway, after about 2 years working for that guy, I completely cut him off. I said, "Listen, like thank you for everything. I really appreciate all the training that you've done for me, but it's time for me to take the next step." And that was hard to do because that guy, he gave me so much knowledge, and for me to just walk away from him, But there was no other way to do it. You got to either walk away, or you're just going to always be under somebody. And if you want to be your own boss, you just got to step out into an uncomfortable area. And that's what I did. And I bit the bullet, got the shop. And ever since then, it's just been every year, just better and better and better and better. And it's been awesome. So that's how I got into it.
How many, I mean, quite the story. How many years has it been since that 18-year-old in your parents' garage?
Well, I'm going to be turning, it's going to be 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And the shop you're in now is a big shop, and hopefully we can take a walk around and look at it in a bit. But is this your second shop, third shop, or how many times have you?
This is my second. So I had that 800 square foot facility, and you could pull one car in, work on that one car, and pull it out. You couldn't pull two cars in there. It wasn't realistic. It wasn't wide enough to fit two cars next to each other. And I was there for 8 years. So I was 1 year without a physical location, 8 years with that one. And then now I'm going on a year and a half with this one, roughly.
And what was obviously like, was it just you were too busy for the small space, or was it because you wanted to add services, or both? Or
so basically in New York State, like if you Google window tinting, my business, which was Platinum Window Tinting, it's recently changed, but it's the highest rated window tinting business basically in New York State. Not highest rated as in like oh, I'm the best. But what I do is I ask every customer to leave a review, and I have the most 5-star. I have all 5-star reviews, and I have the most 5-star reviews out of any other window tinting company in New York State, which is absolutely awesome. And that alone has created the ability for me to have the reputation to grow. So yeah, I was at the small shop for about 8 years, and I was just like, I got to do something else. Like I'm very ADHD. Like I can't stick on one thing. So I'm always trying to find something else to do. And I actually ended up finding a detailer found me, and he wanted to learn window tinting. So I sold him a bunch of window tinting tools and stuff. And I knew him for like 2 years. And then just last year, or a year and a half ago, he was like, let's partner up. I'll do all the detailing ceramic coatings, and you can do all the window tinting. I was like, I don't work well with other people. And aside from that, partnerships never really work well anyway, and everyone knows that. It's all nice in the beginning. So what I did was, with this shop, I did a partnership, and I highly regret it. If anyone's watching right now, I can't see how many people are watching right now, but if you are thinking about starting a partnership, find another way to do it. And if there's no other way to do it, then yes. And if you guys are really close, yes, do it. But if you can get away with not doing a partnership, especially within this business, try not to, because it can get very sour very quick, no matter how close you are with that person. That's just my advice based on experience. I just went through a buyout. I bought my partner out, and I'm a sole owner right now. So basically, what brought me here is that partnership, and it all started off with, this building right here is 3 units within a commercial complex. When they started breaking ground on this, my partner was actually in a unit over in the older units that are behind this. And he was like, listen, like they're doing this, like we should get a unit here and partner up. And that's when I was like, okay, let's do it. And we started off saying with 1 unit, which is 1,500 square foot a unit. And I was like, let's do 2, because you're going to be doing all that stuff, and I'm going to be doing all the other stuff on the other side. Like, we don't want to clash, and we want to have enough room. So I was like, all right, we can afford that based on what we were paying for rent already. And we just took our 2 incomes and said, okay, this will be comfortable to do. And then before we did it, he was like, let's do 3. So we got 3 units, 4,500 square feet. And when they built it, we had them not build the separating walls. So it's one huge open unit with 3 garage doors and 1 office. So that's how I got here.
So, would you almost want to say that it was good fortune that you had the partnership, because you probably wouldn't be in such a big unit if you didn't have the partnership, assuming you're happier there.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for that opportunity coming to light and me going through with a partnership, I would not be in this shop at all. Which means I probably would not have moved out of my other shop at all. So you can look at it on the good side or the bad side. There's a good side and bad side to everything. And I was thankful, or I was. It was good enough for that the partnership ended in good terms.
Yeah.
Which it usually doesn't. If
Right.
it didn't,
So,
then I would be very upset right now. But ended up good.
so I'm curious, for somebody else watching this, like, you gave advice, try to avoid a partnership whenever possible. Somebody else is probably watching this right now or in the future and saying, well, I get that, but I have this really good person and it sounds like a great partnership. So maybe it'll be different for me and that other person. Was there
Right.
anything that like you think, hey, if you would have known this going into it, you could have seen it a little more clear, or like, was it just a matter of experience?
All right. So with partnerships, what I have learned is the only way it's going to work is if your partner does one thing that you can't do, and you do one thing that your partner can't do. That's the way that it will work out the best. And you guys keep your sides. He does what he does, or she does what she does, and you do what you do. If you guys try to do the same things, that's where it gets a little complicated. And yeah, so if you have someone and you guys can keep separated and not clash heads, that would be the way to go. But it just didn't work out for me. We clashed heads, and it just didn't work out.
Are you still doing ceramic coatings?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I hired a detailer, and he wasn't very well educated in it. And I have a background in paint correction, ceramic coatings, paint protection film, and all that. So during this downtime is actually when I hired the new detailer, and I've been training him, and he's been catching on to it very quickly. So that's awesome. So yeah, I have a detailer that does the paint corrections and ceramic coatings. I do all the paint protection film and window tinting.
What brand ceramic coatings do you install?
Right now, we're doing with Ceramic Pro. I know if Dean Mitchell is watching this right now, he's not going to like to hear that.
I mean, I feel like even Dean, how could you say something bad about Ceramic Pro coatings, whether it's your own product or it's not? It's a top product on the market.
Yeah, so the way I look at stuff, and the reason that I'm with Expel right now, I use Expel paint protection film and window tint. And let me give a little bit of background on that. I use SunTek before Expel, 100%. I used SunTek for so many years, and my sales rep is probably so upset right now. But I used SunTek for so many years, and I kept hearing about Expel, and I always thought it was so hard to get in contact with them or get signed up with them, which it is if you're in an oversaturated area. But one day I signed up on the website. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to use their PPF. I'll make a full commitment to them, and I filled out the form on the website, and Dean Mitchell actually called me. He's my sales rep, and the same day we got set up, I went full in that day. I did everything that day, placed the order, and that's all I have in inventory right now is Expel. I actually just ordered a pallet of film before this, or once this pandemic happened, because I was scared they were going to get shut down. So I ordered literally a pallet of window film. So I have plenty, but no one's coming through the door. But the way that I look at it is back to what I was saying before is the products that you're using, you want to have a solid brand behind those. Expel is they're a marketing company, and they're really good at it. And I've had customers coming to the door asking for Expel, not even knowing that they make window film and ceramic coatings and all that. They just want Expel. They ask for the brand, and that's an awesome thing. That's what made me jump into using Expel, and that's what makes me stick using Ceramic Pro, because they started it. Not that they started making coatings first, but they started the marketing and they started doing the right things first, which is why they have that bigger brand. It's all about branding.
So if we could go back in time to before you switched to Expel, if things would have worked out differently and you would have said, you know what, I'm going to stick with SunTek, I'm not going to go to Expel, what would what would have had to been different for you to been like, you know what, forget Expel, I'm sticking with SunTek? Is it just the brand appeal, or what was the main things?
There's many factors. Expel material is awesome. So when it comes to window tint, my issues with the previous window film was the color tone never matched factory tint. It was always like a brownish, greenish color. And I got away with that. I never had a customer complaint. Maybe one or two out of the thousands of cars that I've tinted complained about on a factory match with an SUV, how the back tints don't match the front because they're aftermarket film. Expel window film matches that perfectly. And I was sold once I got the samples from Dean. After I already purchased it, and he sent me samples anyway. I put that on the two front doors, 20%, and it matched perfectly. And that alone allows me to confidently tell the customer that, hey, if we put 20% on there with the Expel material, it's going to match perfectly with that factory tint that you have, which it does. You know, it doesn't have that brownish hue to it, the greenish hue. So that was a big factor with the window tint and with the paint protection film. The main reason that I haven't really gotten into paint protection film over the past years is because I was using ShineTek PPF, and their adhesive isn't as aggressive as the Expel is. And I'm a very quick person. Like, I like to lay things out, you know, not that I do it sloppy, but I like to move fast, and I don't want to have to sit back and watch the film dry before it actually packs into place. And that was a big issue with ShineTek, and what really has me sold with Expel, aside from the products are all awesome with Expel. You're not to like go on a rampage about boasting up Expel, but their products are awesome. And I've been in the industry for over 10 years, and it's the best material that I've used so far, and the scratch resistance with the window film and stuff like that. So it's good, definitely.
So you just hired somebody during this little downturn, and at the beginning, you were saying how your original boss slash like mentor, teacher of window tint, he kind of set you up almost to be in business for yourself for his own purposes or whatnot for tax reasons. But like, is kind of imagining a different future for you. Was there really anything you think he could have did differently to keep you, or were you just kind of destined to be your own boss? And then is there anything you kind of carry over to when you're hiring people now so that they, want to grow with you and not, you're not setting them just to be your competition a few years from now?
Yeah. So that's a tricky thing. And I don't know if I'll just clear this up. If in New York State, window tinting is like beyond illegal.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other states are like, but to me, window tinting in New York State is completely overregulated. They check it with the inspections every year. So they put a meter on your windows every year. And if it's darker than 70%, it's illegal. It has to come off. So I'm in a very rough area to begin with. So the thing that gives me kind of clarity and peace of mind, aside from the detailer, if I teach a window tinter, it's going to be hard for them to create something as big as this on their own, because we're in a state that it's so overly regulated, and it's not oversaturated with window tinters, and it's not oversaturated with too many people wanting to have it done. Don't get me wrong, in the summertime I could do 10 cars a day by myself. That's not normal, but I can, and it is busy all the time. But me being worried about teaching a window tinter is not really one of my worries, because it is so hard to create a reputation when there's already like a couple really big shops. If it was in like the Carolinas or something, there's probably a window tint shop in every corner. Like in Florida, I know it's heavily oversaturated down there. My advantage is I'm in a place where it's not too overly saturated. And as far as the detailer, yes, he can go out and start his own detailing company. But, when we walk around the shop, when I have the customer here, when I have the detailer here, my employee here, or any employee that I would have, I like to treat them with a lot of respect. That's one way to keep an employee very loyal. Do the right thing by them. Never put them down. I know, like, if they mess up, I'd say, like, it's okay. Like, let's just fix it. No problem. Let's take care of it. That's one of my ways of dealing with people, to get them to stay kind of like on my side and not go against me, and compensate them when they work hard. Throw them a bonus. If they get tips, obviously give them the tips. So to kind of clear up the question of how would you keep employees from leaving you, based on my experiences, just treat them right. Do the right thing. Don't be an asshole boss, and they'll stay with you, kind of like family.
So you mentioned YouTube a little while ago. What got you into YouTube?
Actually, so I always do like a million different things. Like there's a million different things going on here other than window tinting. Like, I have online stores, and so I've always just wanted something to do. Like, when I was younger, I would have the window tinting business. I would go to the gym, and if I wasn't at the gym, I needed to find something else to do. So I started looking on YouTube, and I saw the guy Tint Stuff on there, and he's about my age. He's in Detroit, and
Matt.
I was like, I want a YouTube channel like that. I want to be known for what I do, not just in my town, but kind of everywhere. And it's pretty awesome that I'm on this live thing, so more people get to see me.
Something happened to the volume.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it just I don't know. It almost sounded like the mic was covered for a second.
1 second. Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfectly.
All right. So the whole thing with the YouTube is I wanted, just like another thing to do. So, sorry, I'm just plugging my phone in here. And it'll die. So with the YouTube thing, I wanted something to do. So one day I was just like, let me set up a camera and record a video on how to tint a door window. And then the people responded, people commented. So I liked the interaction, so I kept making them. And if you guys look at my YouTube channel, it's Window Tint Warriors. My old videos are absolutely atrocious. I can't even watch them myself. It's hard to watch, but over time, it's just kind of built up. And obviously, the ad revenue is great. Right now, I have a professional videographer for all of my videos, so the ad revenue, like, it doesn't really go in my pocket; it goes in his pocket. But in my advantage, as me having a database online, it's something to look back on, and two, I love helping people. So, based on my new videos, I do a lot of vehicle specific videos. I just try to help as much as I can, and that's kind of like where the YouTube thing is, just trying to put myself out there and get people that were like me in high school, or no matter what age they are, just to give them that extra push to show that it's easy to do if you just put your mind to it,
So you mentioned, okay, so you have income from the shop you're in right now. You have income from YouTube. You have income from online stores.
Yeah.
Those are three like really, amazing income streams, YouTube, online stores, and then a brick and mortar. Do you feel like ever like torn as to where do you invest? Like, obviously I'm guessing you invest most of your time in the brick and mortar, but like, does some part of you like allure pull you to like, hey, what if I build a big e-commerce business? Then I don't have the overhead of the building. Or what if I build a bigger YouTube presence? Then do you struggle with that? Or you just say, I'm just going to do everything I can do in a day and day by day?
So, I drive myself a little bit crazy trying to do so many different things. To give you a little background, I used to do screen printing. I literally had a screen printing company for a year. I spent like $12,000 on all the equipment, and I ended up selling it all within a year because I couldn't juggle the screen printing and the window tinting. I started a couple other businesses that I just couldn't manage all at once. And what I have right now is what I can manage. So to sum that up is I've been able to juggle everything and set it up in a way for me to be able to, spend this amount of time a day on this and spend this amount of time on that. And most of the online stuff is automated. Like the videos, you create videos, you schedule them to upload, and that's done. You spend a day creating a lot of videos, and then you got a couple videos for a couple days or throughout a week. And like the e-commerce stuff, I set a time out of the day where I pack orders and ship orders. Everything else is automated with that. So the brick and mortar is where I spend most of my energy. That's the main thing I try to build. The YouTube channel and the online store is kind of like my hobby to keep me busy from losing my mind.
I gotcha. I guess I just think if you go the little amount of time that you put to your e-commerce and then the amount of profitability that comes from it, what if that was like 100 times bigger?
Yeah, I know. I do think about that. It's hard to let go of one, to let go of one thing to go to another. It's definitely been on my mind, but yeah, it's a hard question to answer.
So this is Michael. I can't pronounce the last name very well, but Michael O said we want more videos. I just want to mention that to you. One of the comments.
Working on it.
So We're making a video now.
Yep.
But all right, so you're I'm 36. You're 28.
Yep.
So I can say you're a young guy in this industry. You've been around for over a decade, but age to age, you're still young. And
Yeah.
like to me, that plays a factor in like, you've been in it 10 years. There's people in this industry that have been in it 20, 30, 40 years. But with that said, not to take anything away or add anything, time is just time. You're calm. You hired somebody. You're sitting in a huge shop and you're in New York. And I'd like if you could kind of expand on how you've kind of gone through this last couple, like what, 3 weeks. You're in New York. You're in like the worst state for regulations for tint. You're in the worst state for the whole coronavirus. And you have a big shop, and you seem pretty happy and like I sense an optimism in you.
Yeah.
What
That's what you can do. You got to be optimistic.
Tell me all
So
about that.
how am I surviving is what you're asking,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, what are your views on it? I mean, there's plenty of other people that probably need a dose of your optimism.
All right, so to take away from the optimism a little bit, it's fucking rough right now. It is rough. I went from a lot to very little over this past month. It's been a month, but I have had a lot of customers that have been wanting to do these big projects that aren't in work anymore. Like I just had a Tesla Model S here that got paint protection film, a ceramic coating, and ceramic window film. That's a huge job. I just had another ceramic coating job, Tesla Model Y, Maserati paint protection film. So a lot of big jobs are coming, but not as many window tinting. I would do normally about 5 cars a day, even in the wintertime. Window tinting. I haven't been doing any window tinting at all. Maybe 1 or 2, 3 a week, and it's killing me. But when you run a business structurally correct, you have that cushion to deal with situations like this, and that's how I'm dealing with it. I've cut down on advertising a little bit. I've definitely cut down on paying an employee because there hasn't been really any work. He comes in when there is work and he understands the situation. But other than that, overhead costs are still the same. There's no relief on rent. Still got to pay that. Utility bills. But when you run a business properly, and that's, a lot of people that are starting off, my best advice would be to don't put the cash in your pocket all the time. When you're first starting off, yeah, the cash in the pocket's nice, but run your business as a legitimate structure, create an entity, get an accountant right off the bat. That's the mistake I made. I didn't get an accountant right away, and I did everything myself for 2-3 years, and it was a fucking disaster, literal disaster. Like I had to scrape up money at the end of the year for taxes because I went on shopping sprees every day because I was so happy with the money I was making. So my advice to you, the people that are watching that are just getting started, obviously the people that are already growing and developing, you probably have a system in place, but my recommendation is talk to an accountant, talk to a lawyer if you have a partner, and get everything situated and run it properly from the beginning. Have a goal for the year, have a goal for the month. If you're collecting sales tax, have a savings account separate for that. Every week, every month, take that sales tax and put it in the account so you don't touch it. There's a lot of things that you have to do so that if something does go sour like it is right now, you're prepared and you're not shocked and fucked.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and one of those things is you mentioned the other services you offer. Like there's always been, you always have. It makes sense that somebody's going to start off just doing window tint or just doing PPF or whatever because you're learning a trade. So like that's what you learn. That's what you start your business in. But then it just seems like a more obvious and more obvious benefit to offering additional services now for obvious reasons. But like beyond that, it's just people these days, they get excited about their new car, a lot of like new models. The first thing they're going to do is maybe take it to get detailed or they might not end up in a window tint shop first. You may end up in a PPF shop first and they might do the tint and vice versa. So I know you mentioned you changed the name of your business and that was to go to an auto spa name, right?
Yeah. So right now it's ShineTek Auto Spa. And that was rough because, I still have the platinum window tinting name. And on Google Business, I'm going to say this right now. Anyone that's watching this, if you have a business and you don't have a Google Business profile, you're doing yourself so dirty. You have to have a Google Business listing and every customer leave a review. every customer that you know had a good experience. Obviously, if something went really sour and the customer was just a complete asshole, don't send them the link to leave a review. But every other customer, you want to build that reputation. So with my platinum window tinting, I have over 250 5-star reviews. And when I moved to this location, what I did is, since we have 3 units and we have 3 unit numbers, I took one of the unit numbers and moved the platinum window tinting to that. And then the number, I set up port forwarding, so it forwards to this new one with an explanation of why it's shifted, auto recording, and all that stuff. So that business name is still technically here at this location. So if someone comes looking for it, they'll find me. But already in the first year with ShineTek Auto Supply, I have over 125 star reviews on that new listing in the first year and a half. So, I mean, brand wise, yeah, it's hard to switch a name, but if you do it the right way, it's a good transition.
Yeah, sounds from everything you just said, you did it 100% the right way, because you over that listing. If you would have abandoned that listing, you would have abandoned a decade. Yeah. And focusing on good reviews, obviously your Google reviews are good. Have you had any luck or fortune with the Yelp reviews?
Yelp. I mean, you probably know this already.
I'm just asking, how'd it go for you?
So when I first saw Yelp and I was 18, 19 years old, I was like, wow, this is great. Another source of search engine for people to find me on. So I registered, I did all that. I got on Yelp, and then 2-3 years into having it, a few of the good reviews stuck, most of the bad reviews stuck. And I don't even know how I got bad reviews. They were good ratings, but for some reason they were 3-4 stars. It didn't make any sense. And I've never had that before. And then Yelp started calling me, asking me to pay for advertising and all this. I gave it a try. They locked me in for a year. It was expensive and it didn't work. So, for anyone out there, I would highly unrecommend Yelp unless it's based on geographical areas. I don't know if some places it's better than others. Maybe in Texas, more people use Yelp than Google, which I highly doubt. But, Google is the leader, and that's the only one that I use for reviews. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
when you're on your phone and you want to find a good place to get, you pull up Google, type in pizza near me. That's what pops up is the Google business listings. So you got to have that 100%.
Absolutely. So, I've been asking you questions this entire time. So if there's anything that you specifically wanted to talk about, please feel free to throw it in there. I just have a lot of questions because you have an interesting business.
As in
anything
for people?
Anything at all. Just, like anything you want to talk about, because we didn't even touch base as to hey, Sean, so what do you want to talk about today? But, I just have questions and they'll never end. So if there's anything specific you wanted to touch on, let's do it.
Like I said before, I like helping people. So, a main topic that I thought about in my head before we connected on this Skype call is what people should do right now in these crappy times. Like, it's literally the worst time to be in business right now. People, my girlfriend, she works for Michael Kors corporate. She just got a 20% pay cut. She works in Manhattan, which is where it's the worst. And it's crap. Like, she can't do anything. She works for a corporation and that's it. 20% pay cut. After working there for years, and she's literally at the lowest pay that you can get right now. And if they hire someone at minimum wage for salary, they'll be getting paid the same amount. And she has a seniority. So, I mean, if you're a business owner right now, you have an advantage because you can do things that employees or corporate salary workers literally can't do. So my advice is, if you're a business owner, make Google ads. If you're good at Google ads, you don't have to be. You make a campaign, you target a small area with a radius around where your shop is. The smaller the area, the more targeted it'll be, and create very specific keywords. Like if you do window tinting, don't go type in window tinting, every combination of window tinting. Just type in window tinting or window tinting near me. You don't want to add too many keywords because then it gets oversaturated, and then your searches, your cost per click is going to go up because it's going to be showing for everything. Like, you don't want to put your town name and stuff like that. So Google Ads is a good thing to do. If you have, I know Tint Wiz is a CRM platform. So if you have a Tint Wiz or something like that where you have all your customer information, create a texting campaign with something like easy texting and say like, hey, we're still open during these times, appointment only. Or if you're not open, depending on the processing system that you use. If you use Square, you can sell e-gift cards at a discounted price. So you still have income coming in. So you can send them an email marketing campaign if you have all your customers' information, or a text message campaign getting them to buy discounted gift cards. So that at least you have money coming in and there's this nothing happening. You still want to bring in money. And if you can close some big sales over the phone, run some deals, don't undersell yourself, because then you'll kind of ruin your reputation. But still try to stay in contact with your customers and still try to get sales over the phone or through marketing if you can. And obviously, if you guys have questions on that, I could help you with it. Don't kill me with messages, though.
So, did you build your own website?
Yeah. Yep.
And like, what was it one of those scenarios where you're just like, hey, I want to grow my business, I'm just going to start reading, I'm going to start learning, and you just self-taught yourself as far as like Google Ads, your website, and so on?
Yeah, so I've been a nerd since I was born. Actually, one of my businesses when I was 14 years old was fixing Xboxes. I had an eBay account. I had my mom set up for me because you got to be 18 to set up an eBay account. And I had the red ring of death that the Xbox used to get.
Yeah.
I used to I had a service on eBay for $40. People would send me their Xbox. I had a whole CPU reballer for the soldering joints. I had the legitimate equipment, and I was doing that in my basement at 14, 15 years old, which is absolutely ridiculous. But the whole, what was the subject we were talking about?
If you were self-taught as far as like your website, your Facebook, and so on. Because most people's questions is, I want to do ads, but I don't know where to start, or I need a better website, but what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, so I was a nerd all from the beginning, and I just kind of like picked up the computer stuff. I was a video gamer, and it's very easy for me to learn. Obviously, the older you get, which is something that I'm learning, the harder it is to learn the technology. And I see why my grandparents are just like completely, there's a wall in front of them when it comes to technology. And if you stay on top of it, as far as like the advertising and marketing, you'll get it very easily. Don't be scared. The best thing you can do is jump into it and just start creating a campaign. Google ads.google.com. Make sure you have your business. It can get very complicated because you can add analytics communication with the ads to make sure you're recording conversions properly. But yeah, I self-taught myself, watching a few YouTube videos, and you'll get a million calls from the Google Ads consultants bugging the shit out of you, but all they want to do is help. And I've learned a lot from that as well. But yeah, it's all self-taught. The website and everything self-taught.
So Heather in the comments said she's going to be 50 and she's killing marketing for window tint. So something you just said was that, as you get older, it gets harder to learn. I think I could see how that seems that way. But I think what happens is, as you get older, you may get caught up in the things you do and your habits. So you just stop necessarily trying to learn. Then once you've been out of it for too long, it's more difficult. But like, I feel like now I have an easier time learning because I've been practicing learning. I'm always trying to learn. So like when I was a kid, I didn't understand learning. I was like trying to memorize everything. Now I'm like, okay, I get it. Things can be difficult right now, but it just takes continuing with it. And then the next time you look at it, it's a little easier. The next time, all you have to do is keep trying, right?
Yeah. So it's about staying on top of what comes out new and something new every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is about educating yourself. If you're not educating yourself and you're sticking to only what you know, you're not going to learn.
Right. Basically. And it's easy to be like, oh, I'm not good at that. Like I get that from so many people that go, I'm not a computer person. I'm like, you're barely using a computer these days. You're on your phone. So like, are you a phone person, or like, what are you? What kind of person? Like,
yeah,
But where's your website? Like, where did you make your website?
I've started off with a lot of platforms. I first started off with Joomla. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yep.
I use Joomla, and I was
still around. It's not like extinct. Joomla's
pretty
popular.
I know, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it recently at all. And that was a lot of like, you had to know how to configure stuff. Like it didn't fall into place exactly. And I always looked for an easier and easier solution. I went to WordPress, and that didn't work out for me. That was a little too complicated. So right now I'm using Squarespace. It's the simplest thing to do. Like if I could recommend a website builder, Squarespace, 100%. You literally, even with the Squarespace 2.0 or whatever it is, 2.1, you drag and drop shit and just like type it in. It's the easiest thing that you could possibly do. That's what I would recommend for anybody. And if you want, look at my website and copy it because it's like the easiest thing to do. ShineTek Auto Spa or ShineTekAuto.com, and it's worked for me.
Do you do your e-commerce through there as well?
No, it's Shopify.
Okay.
But one thing I just set up, which hasn't created any conversion yet, is I did Squarespace commerce, and I'm trying to get people to buy their appointment online and then schedule it. And there's a lot of logistics involved with that as well, because they buy it and then you got to get them to schedule it. So yeah, you can use a scheduling software that has payments within it, but that doesn't give you the opportunity to upsell. It's just kind of like you pay for it and then you book your time. So I created it where I have the Square Commerce items like tintful car, tintful Tesla Model 3 because that's more expensive, and tint to front doors and all that. And then with Squarespace, I set up marketing for specific products to send them an email after their purchase for a specific link to only book the service that they paid for. So it's a lot of if-then, like if they bought this, then send them this email with this link. And it's specifically what, so there's no confusion. You know, if they paid for a full car, that's all they're going to book is a full car. So that's something I just did on my website for only the window tinting just to try it out. Hasn't created any conversions yet, but it was wishful thinking with a time like this. You know, people are going to be online a lot.
So if we go back to before, maybe like 3-4 weeks ago, I'm guessing here, but I almost feel like, you know, you obviously have a lot of good reviews, you understand ads, and you're aggressively running them, it sounds like. Were you in a situation where you needed more customers or needed more like infrastructure, like more employees to handle those customers? Or
so before this whole coronavirus thing happened, I was having the busiest days of my life. Literally, I was like, wow, this is going to be a really good year. And then bam, coronavirus. So, I mean, I was at the point where I was like, all right, I'm going to have to train another window tinter, which I actually started doing. That fell under because there's no work. I was going to hire another detailer. That fell under because there's no work. So I was at the point where I was like, fuck, I got to start really hiring people because summertime's almost here and I got to get into play. So hopefully that continues when this all like drops down. But I was on the road to do my best year ever. And shit, it sucks.
well, so what do you think the next like month looks like, at least from your perception? You obviously can't predict what's going on, but what do you think the next couple months looks like to you? What is your, just ride it out day by day? Or
the way I look at it is I feel like the rest of this month is going to be like getting by, doing okay. And next month, hopefully, you know, the ban will be lifted or the stay-at-home orders will be lifted and people will start to go back to work. I think they're going to smooth into like people that are like young and healthy can go out first, which is what I've heard. Hopefully that gets people to start doing things like getting their windows tinted or, you know, buying stuff. I know I'm urgent to go clothes shopping and I want to go buy stuff. I want to go to Best Buy and look at shit. And you can't even do that. Like people that are sitting inside, hopefully it creates an energy to make them want to go out and spend money. So I'm hoping like midway through next month, things will start going back up. You know, people think about the stock market. I don't know if you have anything in the stocks, but I know my retirement policy is based on the S&P 500. It dropped 20%. Like shit. But yeah. The way I look at it is my payment comes out on the 20th for it. And I'm still putting it in because I know the economy is going to go back up. So right now, all you can really do is, you know, go with the flow, get by, get past this crap. And I'm sure it's going to be a better year ever after it's all over. You know, it's definitely going to take time.
And as far as like your overall strategy moving forward, obviously like you can only do so much. It's up to the market around you. But like, as far as your overall strategy, once we get way past this, is there anything that, because of this last 3-4 weeks, that is going to change ways you do things or plans you had, other beyond just obviously wanting to have maybe more and more savings?
Yeah, I mean, the savings is definitely something that I would want to put more into. So definitely have more savings. That's an obvious thing. when you experience something like this. Obviously, the Great Depression has happened before. This isn't new. But other than that, daily operations, I feel like would still be the same. I wouldn't really change much from what I was doing. Obviously, you or no one that's watching this was here for me to relate to that. But basically, what I was doing, I wouldn't change anything really about it because of this situation.
So New York's always been a strict state. You've had a very strict state AG that sees to enforcement of these tint laws and so on. And I'm curious, I feel like the laws got significantly worse for New York probably, 3 or 4 years ago?
2017, they started the inspection regulations.
Okay, so about 3 years ago, it got significantly worse. Did that, going through that, you're in your maybe 6th, 7th year in business, was that like a crisis moment for you?
When it happened,
Yeah.
I was pretty scared. I was really worried that not only I wasn't worried about the people like that were like 21 plus about getting tint done. I was worried about the kids going through school, learning that tint is that illegal. Because I know when I was in high school, I knew nothing about it, and I thought it was this complicated process, which it is. But when you're in high school or in your middle school or you're a young kid and you hear that something is so illegal, you grow up to think that it's not right, and you think about not getting it. So that was my mindset. That people that were coming out of school, growing up, maturing, would see it as something they would not want to get. And to be honest, I haven't been doing a lot of young kids or 18 to 20-year-olds cars. It's all been a lot of adults. So that could be a factor playing into it. And but I've been doing a lot more high-end jobs, like ceramic tint jobs, which the price drastically increases, which is awesome. I'd rather be doing those than 1999 Camrys and stuff like that. So yes, it has affected, but it's changed it in a way to create a higher customer base rather than a lot of low end. So it's kind of like evened it out. Someone's going to get their car tinted. They want to go with a legal percentage at 70%. If you're going to do that, you would want to get a ceramic material for it to be effective. And that's 600 plus for the full car. So that has helped.
So a lot of clear ceramic window films, basically?
I wouldn't say a lot. Believe it or not, my most popular percentage is 20%.
And do they just get it removed every year and then reapplied?
Yeah. So what I do in that situation is I remove it for free if they prepay for the reapplication, and it's all side windows. So I make them prepay for the application of all the sides, and a lot of people do that every year.
Got it. So back window can stay dark.
Yep. And on SUVs, it's only the two fronts that have to be removed.
And then as far as like the police go, they're not like, are they like super enforcing every dark window that goes by them, or not so much?
The more senior cops are, and in the small village areas they are. But believe it or not, I tint a lot of detectives and federal agent cars and stuff. Their personal vehicles. So, having that relationship with them doesn't stop them from pulling people over every day, but it definitely gives them a different vision of it. And obviously, they're going to do their job. It's their job to regulate laws, but they're not that harsh on it. It's more judgmental based. Like if you're driving around with an old car with chrome wheels on it and the bumper's hanging off and the windows are tinted, you're going to get pulled over and ticketed. But if you have a brand new car, I've seen from basically analytics of customers, the nicer the car, the less chance you are of getting harassed. And that's how it is these days. And, that's what I've seen.
And if tomorrow they made installing window tint an arrestable offense with life in jail, you would do only ceramic coating and paint protection film and be fine and not skip a beat. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would obviously offer legal film only.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I would have to adapt very quickly to that.
But paint protection and ceramic coatings are like, I'm just trying to emphasize this for the people who are strictly tinters, like ceramic coatings and paint protection films, you have to be in them. Like you just.
Yeah. If you're a window tinter and you have a location even remotely close to this, hire a detailer. Like it's that simple. You hire someone, even if they're, the best person to get is someone right out of high school that wants to learn, teach them, send them away to a detailing class that's reputable, paint corrections. I know Rupes has academies and stuff like that. Send them away to be trained, create a do not compete contract with them if you feel that way. And yeah, it's extremely profitable, ceramic coatings. Like if you're a window tinter and you're not doing ceramic coatings,
Crazy.
I don't say anything bad, but you should be doing it. You're missing out on a lot of revenue, like the profitability in ceramic coatings. The main reason they were created was to give detailers an ability to make more profit. And it does just that. You can sell a ceramic coating package, lifetime warranty for $2,200, $2,300, including a one-step correction. And if the paint needs more work, you upsell them on further corrections. And most of the time, that's the case.
And they might want paint protection film for the front of their car too, even after all.
Yeah, that's very common. It's in this business and in any business. Like say that you were to go to the store and look at a bunch of products. If you weren't educated on them, you wouldn't buy them. So when a customer comes here, I take the time to explain in detail. Like if they ask about paint protection film, I explain to them what it is, like what type of material it is. I show it to them. I show them a piece. I let them play with it, let them see how it can benefit them, explain the process to them. And if they understand the process, they're 100 times more likely to buy. And I've noticed that a lot recently compared to other times when people used to ask and I wasn't that educated on it. If I didn't educate them properly, they would just walk away. Now, when I talk to someone about paint protection film, ceramic coatings, and I'm able to overload them with information, and it's basically a promised sale right there when you educate the customer excessively.
Because you become the expert, and you take control of the conversation naturally that way.
Yeah, so that's a huge piece of advice, even with window tinting. I mean, I just started carrying ceramic films. I always use standard materials like dyed materials. And I was so scared to carry it because a roll of XR Plus is like $800 almost. So if you think about that, you're like, I got to buy every percentage of this. I'm going to be sitting on $5,000 in inventory and no one's going to be buying it. But once you have it, it pushes you to sell it. And if you can explain the benefits to the person, the longevity of it and the multi-layered ceramic particles and how much heat it rejects, it's an instant sale. Even to someone with a Toyota Camry will buy it. I've done it, and it's stupid not to try to upsell and educate the customer when it's an opportunity to make hundreds of more dollars.
Yeah, and there really is no I feel like there's no type of customer that's like not that type of customer. Like people will say, like you just said, even a Camry or even like it's like you can't judge by like how somebody looks. You can't judge by how the car looks. Can't judge by the car age. Like people have money to spend. You're talking about $400, $500, $600. People love their car. You can buy a car for $3,000. You could love it and be wanting to invest $600 into a quality tint job or $700. Like that exists. So like you're only selling yourself short when you say no for the customer.
I got the perfect story for this. Actually, a customer that just came today. He actually just left right before we got on this. Chevy SS, awesome car. He had a bunch of work done to it, but it was tinted already. And he came here and he specifically said, I got this car tinted when I first got it because I just wanted it to look good. I wasn't educated on window tint at all. He's like, I did a lot of research after I got it tinted and I found out that there's a ceramic film. And he's like, I want to take this off and redo it. And just that alone proves the fact that if the customer is educated, he went from whatever film they put on there. I took it off. It smelled like complete crap. It smelled horrible. So whatever it wasn't good film. But he educated himself. If that person doing his car in the beginning would have educated him and upsold him to a ceramic film, he would have bought it. So he paid over $700 to have his car retinted today with ceramic film, just because he educated himself. So think about the benefit if you are able to educate your customer properly. Like I said before, I'll say it again, over-educate the customer because it'll just put more thoughts in their head and help them understand every single aspect. Like if you're someone like me, when I go somewhere, I want to know every single detail of every single option that I can get so that I can pick which one I want based on my price range and quality I'm looking for. So, yeah.
I do. And to note, Chevy SS customers, I feel like that's an underrated car as far as how much the owners of those cars love their car. Like if you get somebody who has a Chevy SS, you should take your time, go over every single thing possible for their car because they're probably interested.
Yeah,
all of it. Is that what you found with that SS owner?
Yeah. I knew that about those types of customers because one, they have a car that it looks like a Malibu, but it's like a Corvette.
Right.
So the first thing I said on the phone when he said like you're gonna take care of my car, I was like, yeah, you got a Chevy SS, not a Malibu. I'm gonna take care of you. He was like, oh, so you know what I have, and that just like created the connection. So
Right.
when he came and got out of his car, he prompted me like I was his best friend already because we created a connection. That's another thing: create a connection and overeducate. That's it.
Do you do vinyl wraps?
Yeah. Yep.
Printed or just color change or both?
Just the full color changes. I don't deal with any printing. I mean, I could, but that's something that
It's another
out of
forms
yeah,
for sure.
not for me.
So 40's coming up on you quick. I know it seems like you're only 20 something, but 40's coming quick. Where do you want to see yourself at like 40? Do you think that far along the road as far as your business, as far as what you'll be doing, as far as what you want to create?
Yeah, so I mean, of course you got to think of your future, and if you're not thinking about your future, you're playing like a high schooler, which you shouldn't be doing if you are past that. So the way that I look at it is obviously, like I said before, I have a retirement set up, that which is hard to do when you're a single business owner. You have to do it. It doesn't come. You don't get a 401k. You don't get a what is it called? Whatever retirement plans you get with your
Roth
job.
IRA or IRA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You don't get any benefits like that. You gotta get your own health care, and so the main thing I would recommend if you're a single business owner, get a retirement account. Mine is a term life insurance policy. That I also have a life insurance policy, but after 10 years, all the money that I put into it is tax free and gained on the market, which is not good right now, but it will be over the course of 10, 15 years. So by the time I'm 50, I'll have that in place. And as far as business goes, I see myself by 40, hopefully having someone else doing window tinting by then. I don't see myself tinting windows by myself for my whole life. Obviously, by then I want to have somebody doing it for me. I don't see myself being a single operator for the rest of my life.
So if somebody's watching this and thinking, man, this guy Sean knows what he's doing, and I just want to be a tenth as great as he is one day. Is there any services that you offer? I'm just kidding, but or I'm not kidding. I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. Obviously, is there any services that you offer that can help, or that like, is there? I mean, I don't know. Do you offer consulting services? If I'm another window tint company, I say, Sean, you know what you're doing. Can you help me out? Do you offer those types of
So
services?
obviously, with the whole economy going down with the business and everything, I've been looking into different things to do, obviously to bring revenue in, but also helping people. Like I do in-person window tinting trainings. I've been thinking about doing consulting with advertising and online structure and social media and stuff like that. And just like everyone wants to be a social media marketer. I don't want to be a social media marketer, but obviously I can help people in set up the back end and the front end properly with social media and advertising and stuff like that. So if you guys, if anyone watching does need help with that, I'm open to help you. Um, Price wise, I don't know off the bat, but if there's something big that you want to do and you need a whole overhaul, I'm willing to help with that. Yeah.
And I mean,
Definitely.
anybody watching that's thinking about that, like when it comes to marketing, like Sean, you just said, everybody wants to be a social media marketer because like that's one of those industries is just absolutely flooded with bullshit. So then, nobody wants to even get caught up in that bullshit. But at the end of the day, if you're thinking about hiring somebody for social media, if you're thinking about hiring somebody for ads, I just feel like it's as simple as finding somebody who can show you very specifically what they've done multiple times. So like being able to say, hey, Sean, like here's an example of somebody that, he obviously knows how to run ads. You obviously have a shop, like you've scaled up your business. To me, that the proof's in the pudding there, for lack of a better term, like you know what you're doing. It's proven. So if you've been burned by a company before, like you just have to see some companies are in business to convince you to give them your business, and some companies
Yeah.
actually know what they're doing, and like they're able to apply that sort of thing towards a business, which is obviously what you've done. So
Absolutely.
what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you?
Facebook Messenger, Sean Roach.
Cool.
Yeah. Just send me a DM. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Sean, thank you for doing this. Definitely was just a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Cool.
You make me feel old because you're only 26, 26, 27?
How old are you?
36.
Ah, I
Yeah.
might be.
I know it's not old, but it's, interesting when you reach those different stages. When you're like, when you were like a 20 something year old and then you're talking to somebody older and then you start going the other way. It's an interesting thing. That's all.
Yeah, you just got to keep yourself young. Keep yourself out there. That's it.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely.
So, Sean, thanks for doing this, and thank you for everybody who watched this. I know when we started this, at least, the president was live on TV. So, anybody who is watching this live over the president, I really think that says something, and it's fucking awesome. So,
He says the same thing every time anyway. I respect him, but it's the same. It's the press. They keep asking the same questions. But yeah, cool.
yeah. Well, Sean, thank you again. Thanks for everybody for watching.
Have a good night, man.
All right, you too.